on, everybody? Welcome to another Horror Review Sunday. Since I'm talking about the Friday the 13th franchise, I thought, why not talk about another camp slasher kind of inspired by Friday the 13th, although they want to say that they wrote this movie before Friday the 13th was ever made. Whatever. This came out in 1981, so I'm not sure when exactly the concept was, created by Harvey Weinstein. But that's neither here nor there. This is another camp slasher. Since I'm talking about the Friday movies, why not talk about The Burning? Got the classic poster right there. Shout Factory, another great transfer. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing a McDonald's shirt for this review, if you probably haven't seen this movie, you should know why I'm wearing this shirt. If you don't, I'll explain later on. So, this movie has tons of beautiful ladies in it. It is a typical slasher. It starts with a prank gone wrong, and then years later, that guy comes back for revenge, and he kills these teenagers one by one. Simple premise, blah, blah, blah. So, let's get into the movie. This movie was created by Harvey Weinstein. It even says, produced and created by Harvey Weinstein. Story by Harvey Weinstein. Written by Bob Weinstein and the director, Tony Maylan. So this is their first movie. The Weinsteins, this is their first movie, I believe this is. Because before this, they were producing music, the Weinsteins, and then this was their debut. And when you watch this movie now, it's so uncomfortable. The way these characters are written and just the interactions and the amount of nudity, but just the way they go about the nudity and the way that the girls are in this movie, it's this is Weinstein written all over it. The things that I really like about The Burning is Cropsy. I really like Cropsy. It's a shame we never got a sequel to this. This is one of those movies that is begging for one. At the end, they even kind of somewhat set up a sequel like a typical slasher would. But I like the way they even go about that. I like the ending. I like the way this movie ends. It ends with a campfire story. Spoiler alert. Whatever. But I like that story, and it's you're dead. Great ending. And a great open. And a great opening kill. All kinds of good stuff in here. And I just like the look of Cropsy. This movie feels a little Italian inspired. I've been watching a lot of Italian horror lately, a lot of Fulci. Not too much Argento. I've seen maybe one, but I've seen quite a few Fulci movies, and even Pieces, I think is an Italian film, or Spain. I think Pieces was made in Spain. I'm not sure about that, but I know that's one of those. It's definitely Italian. It feels Italian. But this movie also kind of feels Italian. Just the way Cropsy looks at the beginning, the whole black glove thing, the gleaming blades, and the score. I really like the score in this movie, and it also kind of sounds kind of Fulci, kind of Italian sounding. I'm not the expert on Italian horror, but when I was watching this movie, I was this has kind of an Italian horror feel to it. Sound, especially. Oh, and the thing, too. There's the sound, the heartbeat sound, and this is before the thing. It's a boom, boom. Boom, boom. I love that sound. And then I like Cropsy's vision. He's so burnt that his vision's kind of blurry on the edges, and obviously that was done on purpose, and I like that attention to detail. And the kills and the gore by Savini are top notch. This isn't his best gore. I think a lot of the gore effects in Friday the 13th Part 4 are the best, but this is up there, runner up. You got all kinds of good, stabs in the guts. It doesn't shy away, and blood just spurting out. Awesome stuff. Awesome strength by Cropsy. He lifts dudes up, sticks them in trees. Great gore effects, great kills, high body count. And I like the characters in this movie. This is the start of Holly Hunter, I think that's her name. You got Holly Hunter, you got Jason Alexander, who went on to do sitcoms and become a comedian, and he's the comedic character in this movie, and a lot of the things that he says, the way he delivers his lines, it's funny. I really like his character, but yeah, at least they're memorable characters. Oh yeah, Glazer, Alfred, the perv, and Todd, and whatnot. And the dickhead Eddie, he's basically the Weinstein of this movie is Eddie. And I like that the killer in this movie, this movie had the balls to fucking destroy the killer at the end. Cropsy is mutilated, and he's the best kill in the movie is the killer himself. Another spoiler, but whatever. This is an old movie. Whatever. I know I like to make this the non-spoiler section, but fuck it. Alright, the killer's killed. And I really like the transfer. The transfer of this movie is really good. There's some moments where it gets kind of spotty a little bit grainy, but for the most part, I like the transfer. And I like the choice of weapon too. The shears, awesome choice of weapon, very scary. You can take limbs off with it. You can do a lot with a pair of shears, and they do quite a few different cool kills with it. And I guess last but not least, this is a Mr. Hat review. Tons of nudity. Tons of nudity, like lingering on screen type of nudity, which is another thing that kind of goes back to what I said about Italian horror. That's one thing I've noticed is that in Italian horror, like Pieces, if that's Italian, it just lingers. It's just there for seconds on end. Like, it's not cutting away. Holy shit. Like, American horror, I feel like they cut away and they just show it for a little bit, and then it's like, all right, above the boob shots. But in this one, it's just like, no, here's the boobs, and they just sit there for so long. You get shower scene, another shower scene, skinny dipping, all kinds of boobs in this movie. As for the things that I do not like, I think this might be the budget, but I feel like this movie has a lack of atmosphere, horror atmosphere. It's daytime for the most part. Some people might like that. It's a change of pace. You know, a lot of these kills take place during the day, but I feel like because of the budget, there wasn't very good cinematography in this movie. The lighting was all over the place. It felt like they were just trying to utilize the sun as the light source, because there's a lack of consistency with the lighting. Like, there's scenes where it's like it's night and then it's morning, but then it's night again, and then it's like the day, but then night again. Like, it just jumps all over the fucking place, where I'm like, what time of the day is it? They're skinny dipping in the morning, I think, but then it's like, no, it's night, and then it's day. Like, it just jumps all over the place. So the editing in this movie is awful. There's weird editing decisions I will explain further on in my spoiler discussion, even though I've already spoiled the film, kind of. But the editing is not good. The cinematography I wasn't crazy about. The atmosphere. I like the atmosphere of the opening kill. But that's about it. And the final chase is too long between Cropsy and Alfred. It just drags and drags and drags. And then, like, Todd's chasing after them. And we see the same shots again and again. It's just, it drags and drags. There's not really much of a crescendo at the end. It's just like, it peters out very quickly. There's no, like, big fight between Cropsy and Todd and Alfred. It's over. Like, there's no big battle. Like, he gets a flamethrower and does nothing with it. Yeah, I already said about the editing. They reuse footage, and it's very odd. That kind of goes to what I said about editing, and yeah, that's about it. So, final thoughts. I think this is a good slasher movie. Some people say it's one of the best of all time. You got a cool looking killer. It's a typical type of slasher, but hey, this is what we like, alright? High body count, gore, boobs. So when it comes to The Burning, if this is something you have not seen, this is a must-watch, add it to your watch list type of slasher film. Definitely go out and buy it. Alright, now let's really get into the movie. Spoiler discussion. So we get the prank gone wrong. They get this, like, you know, Pamela Voorhees type of head, except it's way scarier looking. There's, like, maggots on it. I'm not sure where the fuck they got that head from. Was it supposed to be real, or did they create that thing themselves? I don't know. But they put it on this, like, nightstand. Cropsy wakes up, smacks it, catches himself on fire. When he bursts out that door, he's clearly wearing, like, some kind of, I don't know, fire helmet, something that stuntmen wear. Like, it looks like one of those things that beehive people, like, what do you call them, that the big old, oh, I don't know what the fuck they're called. I don't know. But it's just this big ass hat thing that he has over his head. I don't know what's called, but I'm like, what the fuck's on his head? That was not what he was wearing to bed, I can tell you that. But he goes rolling down a hill. He never stops, drops, and rolls. And then he goes to the hospital, and for some reason, there's this old guy there who looks like he's, like, in his upper 50s, and he's just now trying to become a doctor. I'm not sure what he's done with his life. It's a little late in the game to try to become a doctor. And you got this guy who's like,
man, this guy's burned so bad, he's cooked a fucking Big Mac. Overdone. You know what I mean?
So that's why I'm wearing this shirt. McLovin. Just a little wink to that line in this movie. And yeah, so he gets grabbed, like a little scare, and it's like, The Burning. And then flashes forward, like, what, 5 years later, and I guess they gave up on him. They're like, all right, the skin grafts don't work. They kick him out, and then he's just walking the streets as, like, the Elephant Man. Picks up an old, ugly hooker. That was his first go-to, I guess. She was the only one working that night. But he takes this middle-aged hooker up to her room, and then when she realizes how ugly he looks, I'm not sure how she didn't see him before, but once the lights are on, she's like, oh my god, get out of my place. And that, I guess, offends him, because he grabs the shears, stabs her in the gut, it lingers on that shot, and there's blood just squirting out of her belly. And I guess this is just him getting a taste for blood, because this is an interesting open. Like, he's just pissed off at that camp, but the first thing he does is like get practice. Maybe that's what it is. Just to theorize about this movie. Maybe that was like him practicing. Like, I'm gonna go practice on a hooker, someone no one will care about. Not to say that no one cares about hookers, but I don't know. Maybe I don't think that's the way he's thinking, maybe. But then he gets to the camp and they renamed it, just like in the Friday the 13th movies. They keep renaming the camp, thinking no one's gonna realize what happened before. And he almost kills this little girl, Tiger. She goes to fetch the ball, and it's like, if he would have killed her, like, cover blown, they would have been like, "Hey, Tiger, you coming back?" And then they would have went out there looking for her, like, where the fuck is she? Boom, there's a body. They're all leaving. His cover's blown. So it's a good thing he didn't kill her, because then the movie would have been over pretty quick. So, and then, this is like Harvey Weinstein dialogue. I just thought it was funny that you got this girl saying, like, this guy, I'm with this guy, I like him, but he scares the shit out of me. And then the girl, Terry, what's her name? I forget. It'll come to me. But the main girl, Michelle, there you go. Michelle, she essentially just gives up, and she's like, just go fuck him. Like, yeah, go fuck him anyways. Even though you're scared of him, just go fuck him and get it over with. It's like, yeah, that's what girls say to each other. And then there's the shower scene, and Alfred's being a pervert. And then Todd is basically covering for this guy. He's like, oh, whatever, he's just a kid. What am I supposed to do? Chop his balls off? And, like, Michelle's like, you need to do something. Like, he was watching her bathe. He's like, oh, I was just trying to scare her. And he's, like, sticking up for him. It's like, again, I hate to keep beating this drum, is like, I feel like these characters were written by the Weinsteins to, like, excuse the perverts. And the pervert lives. So it's like the pervert and the guy, Todd, who covers for the pervert, they're the winners in this. And they're the ones that defeat evil. So the perverts succeed. The guys who spy on women and treat them like shit. So I just thought that was odd. And then the fact that after that, later on, like, Michelle and Todd are, like, kissing in the woods, and they got, like, this chemistry together, like, they've been together. Even though he's such a piece of shit, Todd, he's sticking up for perverts and not even, like, reprimanding them, not doing anything to punish them at all. He's just like, oh, whatever, he's a kid. I can't just chop his balls off. It's natural. And then Todd gives this little clue that he was one of the pranksters at the beginning, and it's the only scene in the movie that, hints at that, little wink, is when he's like, I used to be a camper here 5 years ago. And then that's it. And then at the very end, it's revealed that he was at that camp 5 years prior, and he was one of the pranksters. And I find that to be absolutely bullshit. And they want to act like his name was said. It was not. They replay the scene, but they extend it, and they're like, what about you, Todd? And then you go back and you watch the opening, and it's never said. It was like, and what about you? They don't say Todd. That's bullshit. It's another thing to add to that about it being bullshit. Like, they're trying to, like, be like, haha, we got you. It's like, well, no shit. That guy looks nothing like Todd. So anyways, and then I like how Alfred, this is something stupid, but whatever. I like how he's like, everybody picks on me. Everybody. Blanket statement. Everybody picks on me. Always. Just over-exaggerating everything. And then, like, the next scene, he's got 3 friends who stick up for him throughout the movie. Jason Alexander, the Woodstock guy, and the tall guy, who I don't know his name, but they're, like, best buds with him. So it's like, the only person I see picking on you is Glazer. So Alfred's not only a pervert, but he's a liar. And then we get this BB gun prank. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm guessing it's like a BB gun. And then Woodstock shoots Glazer in the ass, like, 50 yards away, and there's, like, girls all around him facing that direction. Like, he could have shot any one of those girls in the eye. So just looking at it from, like, a responsible adult standpoint, like safety, like, that's dangerous. That is very dangerous what Woodstock did there. He could have took someone's eye out. You'll shoot your eye out. What movie is that from? Christmas Story? So, and then, yeah, Glazer, what a piece of shit. But I love his performance. He's just kind of over the top. He's got, like, that Brooklyn, New York accent, or a little Italian, something out of, like, the Goodfellas. Yo, you stay away from my girl, okay? I'll throw you in the water. I'll throw you in the water, okay, Alfred? And then, yeah, Sally, I'm not sure what she sees in him, and they all act like he's so muscular, and they look at him like, it's not that muscular. I'm not sure where Jason Alexander's getting all these nudie mags and condoms. Is there, like, some kind of black market going on? He's somehow getting people from outside to send him condoms and pornos that aren't getting checked. Like, no one checks the mail for these kids. I guess they can't maybe legally do that. How's he sneaking in condoms and pornos. Glazer's like, you guys are pathetic. I can get pussy on my own. Y'all, and I need lubricated rubbers, okay? Lubricated. And then we get like a dove scare. Oh my god. Like replacing the cat scare from Friday 2, we get the dove scare in this one. And another thing that's taken from Friday the 13th Part 2 is the campfire story. It is ripped right out of that movie. It's like shot the same way, it looks the same, and he's like telling the campfire story. Todd, he's telling the story of what he did, which I find to be kind of a dicky thing to do. Like, what a bitch. He's like, he was an evil bastard, and I lighted his ass on fire. And then by the end of the story, we get a guy in a mask scaring everybody. It's the same fucking scene from Friday the 13th Part 2, so I have to wonder if they somehow, like, since Tom Savini's working on this, maybe he saw the script and read that. It's like, hey, let's rip that off. Somebody had, like, the same year, too. These movies came out the same year, and they're being made at the same time, and they both just so happen to have the exact same scene in it. I find that to be very odd. I like how no one's listening to that guy. It's very realistic, and you're like, quiet, everybody. And as he's giving this big speech, no one's listening. Very realistic. That's how that would work. And the next night, I guess they all went miles downriver, and they're skinny dipping, like Eddie and this chick, Karen. And this scene is the most, like, Weinstein of them all. Like, we got this girl who I guess she's one of those chicks who likes to be, like, raped. Like, she's one of those chicks who's, like, you know, she'll say no, but she really means yes, but she's not going to tell you that. She wants you to kind of piece it together yourself and just force yourself on her because she clearly skinny dips. You know, she's all like, I don't want to, but then he gets naked first to kind of make her more comfortable. Like, look, I'm naked, get in the water. And then she gets naked, goes in the water, and he's like, you know, come here, I'll get you warm. And she does. Like, no hesitation, wraps herself around him, starts kissing him, she's smiling, she seems into it, and then like 2 seconds later, she's like, Eddie, stop. And then he's like, don't fucking start this shit with me. And then he starts to kiss her, and then she starts smiling again and starts kissing him passionately again. 2 seconds later, Eddie, stop. It's like, okay, what the fuck? Like, I can't like this girl because she's leading him on. She keeps getting naked in front of him. She's making out with him. She seems into it, and then she's just, like, shutting him down. That's a bitch move, all right? They didn't make it look like he was the biggest. I mean, he's still an asshole. Don't get me wrong. He's been checking out women the whole movie. He's saying, you know, pervy shit. But the fact that she's, like, kissing him and getting naked for him just to be like, no, you're not touching me. I can't root for her, and I'm glad she gets killed immediately. Right after that, she goes out. All her clothes are missing, except for the guys. And I'm thinking, if I was her, I would just take the asshole's clothes instead. But she doesn't. She goes looking for her clothes, and she's very much naked, and we see all of it for a very long time. Lots of boobs, like I said. And then she finally gets all her clothes, and as soon as she gets, like, the last piece of clothing, Cropsy comes in, sticks her right in the throat, he slits her throat wide open, and it's just gushing and gushing, does not shy away at all. And then for some reason, he, like, stabs the tree. I'm not sure what that was for. And then the next morning, they find out that all their canoes are gone, so I guess Cropsy took 5 canoes and sunk them all, except for one, because they find the one out there that he's in, so I guess he sunk 4 and they took one out. But the way the movie's edited together, as soon as they're, like, leaving to go out into the river, we see a POV shot of Cropsy somewhere else, stalking. We don't know who, but he's out there. And then they get to the raft, and now he's just in there. Did he teleport, or I'm not sure. But he's in there, and this is, like, the best scene of the movie. This is the iconic scene. This is the one everyone talks about. It's, like, the poster, and it's the raft massacre, and boy, does Cropsy have some good balance. He has been working out those legs and his balancing, like, he's been working on it for the past 5 years, because he just stands up in that canoe and doesn't, like, wobble or anything. And he's, like, running across the raft and taking people out, never, like, stumbles or anything, slices, like, this girl's head wide open. I have no idea what happened to that one guy. Like, the first guy who gets killed, there's, like, blood that splatters on him, and I have no idea what happened to that guy. And then one chick, I guess, gets hit in the back very quick, and then she falls in the water. She's dead. I'm not sure how that killed her. But then, you know, the biggest dick, the Harvey Weinstein character, he gets the shears right to the throat. Guy gets his fingers snipped right off. Boom. Cuts the red. Kind of like, you know, how the Friday the 13th movies cut to white. But yeah, and then like I like how when the shears keep going up, they're like not bloodied at all. Like the first 2 times they come up, they're not bloodied, and you get like the gleaming shot. But then like the third time it comes up, finally there's blood. But why couldn't they just follow the river back to camp? They're like, we need to build a raft. It's like by the time they built that raft, they could have just walked back to camp. But they're like, we don't know the way back. It's like, but you know that it's down the river. So why not just follow the river on shore, on land, keep an eye on the river and just follow it all the way down. Like they didn't need to build a raft. They could have just walked to camp easy peasy. I don't see any reason to suggest that that wasn't an option. So whatever. And yeah, there's no blood on the shears, and I like how when Sally is having sex for the first time with Glazer, it's like hurting her, which is realistic. And he's done in 30 seconds. This is like competing with Halloween sex scene. Like both of the sex scenes in that movie are like 15 seconds long. And this one is like 15 seconds long. Glazer's like, oh, next time. Don't worry. Next time, babe. It'll be longer. And she's like, sure, whatever. And then he goes to get firewood, and then she gets killed off camera. But I like how she's like putting up a fight. She puts up the most fight out of everybody. But she gets killed off camera. And then when Glazer gets back, he gets it right in the throat, and he's like lifting him off the ground, like that nurse in Halloween 2, just lifts him off the ground, sticks him in a tree, and it's just like awesome. What an awesome kill, one of the best. And then Alfred witnesses the whole thing. He went there to go be a pervert again, but got more than he bargained for. He got to see some murder instead. So then, like, he gets Todd, and finally convinces Todd that maybe something's happening. He's like, all right, I'll see. And then he gets there, and then the guy who deserves to die more than anybody, he gets nicked in the head with the shears, and it somehow knocks him out cold. Like, he's out. And then he just leaves him alone? Like, why not finish him? Like, did Cropsy really think that finished him off? That was just bullshit. And then he goes chasing Alfred through the woods, and then at some point decides to stop chasing him and just stalk him instead. I'm not sure what the hell happened there. Like, it went from a chase to just him stalking him from afar to him chasing him again. And then for some reason, they end up in this copper mine or whatever, and he holds him hostage. For what purpose? In his mind, the guy he just nicked in the head is dead. So who does he think is going to come to that random ass copper mine to save Alfred? That just makes no sense to me. I feel like the third act of this movie is my biggest downfall with it. I do not like the third act in this movie. I like the tail end story, like I said. I like that they kill Cropsy, and I like how fucked up he looks. But this ending could have been done way better. They just, he gets to the copper mine. It takes forever to get there, and meanwhile Holly Hunter, she's getting like a helicopter to come, and he wakes up Todd, he runs to the copper mine, he gets in, and he sees Karen's body, and it's a still image. Like, they couldn't afford to have her on set one more day, or to put her body there, or what. And the fact that they used that still image twice is even more ridiculous. Like, it looked fake and obvious the first time. It's even worse the second time. They just took the image of her death from earlier in the film and just place it there. It's a still image, and it's so jarring. And it also, in the scene, when he's walking around, they clearly reuse footage a few times. Like the footage of him walking up towards the cart before it goes down, that's clearly used twice. And they even show the cart after it goes down, and he dodges. There's a shot that they use again, and the cart's back up. Did Cropsy come down and pull the cart all the way back? Obviously not. So that was a little goof that I found. And then they used the same shot angle, but it's not the same shot. I feel like they used a different take, because there's a shot where he has the axe and he's looking around. He puts his hand on the beam, but then later on, he goes to that same exact location, and then that's when he sees Cropsy with the flamethrower. And then even that shot, when he sees Cropsy with the flamethrower, they have that shot play twice too. There's so many shots, I'm I feel like I've seen this already. And then for some reason, they have that weird death montage where as he's walking with the flamethrower, it's death, 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 everything we've seen so far. Why? That's just dumb. And then it gives us the flashback, oh my gosh, Todd was the guy at the beginning. Did you know that? Oh, we fooled you. And I like how somehow Cropsy has 3 arms. He has both his hands on the flamethrower. We see that clearly, that he's like shooting towards Todd. And then it cuts to Alfred a couple of times during this, flamethrower fight. And he has his hand on Alfred's throat. Did I say throat? Throat. So he has one hand on his throat and 2 hands operating a flamethrower at the same time. Like, he has 3 hands. How's this working? And how is he losing this fight? Like, flamethrower versus a fire axe, who's gonna win? The flamethrower, but somehow loses. Like, he has no chance of losing, but somehow loses. Like, he doesn't even know how to use that fucking flamethrower. And where did it come from? Do they keep flamethrowers in a copper mine? Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I don't know how he lost that battle, but he does. And then he just gets the garden shears to the back of the neck, and then, he gets the flamethrower from him, lights his ass on fire, and then Todd takes the fire axe, and boom, right in the skull, blood. He's the best kill in the movie. So yeah, Cropsy's dead, and then we cut to the fire story, and I like how this new guy is saying the same exact words in the same order that Todd was saying earlier. Like, somehow they're saying the exact same story in the same exact way. Like, that's bullshit. I wonder if that character was supposed to be like Alfred 5 years later or something. But anyways, those are my thoughts on The Burning. Now let's go over my awards. The best scene in this movie is the raft scene, of course. It's iconic and bloody as hell. And the best shot in this movie is during that scene when Cropsy's lifting his shears up in the air. And I think the hottest chick in this movie is Sally. I feel bad for Sally. She got to not have the best sex in the world before being killed. And the Funny Bone Award goes to when Sally is having sex with Glazer and it's over so quick, and she's like, "That's all?" And he's like, "Don't worry, babe, next time it'll be longer." And the worst kill in this movie is Sally. She's like the one kill that's off camera, so that's a shame. And there's not even aftermath, not one aftermath shot of what was even done to her body. So those are my thoughts on The Burning. What do you think about this classic slasher movie? Put in your thoughts of it in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button, share with all your friends, and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.